looking straight at the camera.
Shut up,
Fellow friends, aren't you tired of paying for the high price of gas? Well, today gas is about $3.25 a gallon and shows no sign of going down. Okay, what about the unemployment rate? That shows no sign of budging either. Sooner or later, one of these has got to go down, so why not both of them at the same time? Investment and utilization of green energy is one key to helping America replenish itself. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dylan Duke, and for my human communication speech, I am talking on the utilization of green energy. I chose this topic because I've always had the interest in working to improve the environment. Along with the speech, I also worked to turn spent vegetable oil into biodiesel. The topic I'm speaking on entails America's dependency on foreign oil and non-renewable fossil fuels. It discusses solutions to help wane our dependency from the foreign oil. The use of these resources can dramatically reduce the amount of money we pay for energy consumption and can add many jobs to America. The addition of ethanol plants where they turn non-edible plant parts into ethanol, which is a biofuel, can add up to 200 jobs to the area. These plants will also give a boost to the agricultural economy. The physical experiment entailed turning vegetable oil into usable biodiesel. There are many ways of making biodiesel, from complex scientific methods to basic homemade recipes. They all start off with the same basic ingredients and end with the same desired result. The more complex methods of making biodiesel are intended for factories and laboratories and require more tests and procedures. Many homemade recipes and procedures are available if you wanted to do this on your own time. High-quality biodiesel is made through a chemical process called transesterification. This is a big word for a simple process when given the materials, guidance, and experience. Transesterification is essentially the process of breaking down the oil molecule to replace one form of alcohol to another form, methanol. Biodiesel can be made from many forms of feedstock plants. Soybeans are currently the most commonly used, though many other plants have great potential as biodiesel feedstock. Currently, soybeans account for 90% of feedstock supply for biodiesel, and soybean has a favorable energy balance ratio of about 3 to 1 energy units produced in each energy unit consumed. Typically in the form of fossil-based fuels. Ethanol derived from cornstarch is less variable, with a range of 0.8 and 1.7 energy ratios. Research on improving these ratios will be important to continue to escalate due to their inevitable depletion, where supply no longer meets demand. Biofuels will dramatically reduce dependency on fossil fuels. Experimental setup to turn spent vegetable oil into usable biodiesel is simple. The materials needed are 1 liter of used vegetable oil, 200 milliliters of methanol, and about 4.5 grams of sodium hydroxide. Features for mixing, measuring, balancing, and separatory ethanol are also needed. To make biodiesel, first you start by obtaining the used vegetable oil, and then the oil is filtered 3 times and to ensure it was free of debris and contaminants. Once filtered, the oil is set aside and the transesterification process is being set up. A solution of sodium methoxide was prepared. And great caution is needed when preparing the sodium methoxide because it's very caustic. And the solution was prepared by mixing 200 milliliters of methanol and 4.5 grams of sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is a catalyst for the transesterification process, and potassium hydroxide and sulfuric acid could also be used. Then once the solution is thoroughly mixed, the filtered vegetable oil is then added. This was then mixed for about 10 minutes and left to settle overnight. While being mixed, a transesterification process occurred, which is depicted here, where the catalyst, in this case being the sodium methoxide, broke off the fatty acids in the oil and replaced it with the biodiesel molecules to the glycerin. And then once this whole process is done, they separate themselves into two layers, and the less dense biodiesel will be on top, and the more dense glycerin being on the bottom, and this being a byproduct of biodiesel production. The two layers were then thoroughly separated using a separatory funnel and stored, and the next step would be to properly filter the biodiesel that was made. Although proper storage and disposal of the glycerin is very important, ignorance of the storage and disposal procedures can be dangerous. The glycerin still contains some methanol, which is highly flammable, and the glycerin can be disposed in a number of ways. It can be brought to a landfill and can also be left outside to have the methanol evaporate off of it and then stored in a container. The glycerin byproduct has many uses. There are probably hundreds of uses for glycerin, which range from making soap to animal food additives to grease removers and hand cleaners. The usefulness of glycerin makes biodiesel a zero waste for fuel production. If you were to make enough biodiesel, you can be left with a good amount of glycerin to even sell. You can make about $1 per gallon of glycerin. Glycerin is hygroscopic, meaning it saps all of the water out of the air. When sprayed on like dusty roads and construction sites, it can help keep the dust down by minimizing water evaporation. The next and final step will be to test your biodiesel for quality. There are a number of complex tests you can use, but the one used in this experiment was the emulsification test. This will require you to fill a jar half with water and half with the biodiesel, and then vigorously shake it. And after about 10 minutes, if they're completely separated, then you have high quality biodiesel. This in all takes about half a day to make, and I have never had the experience of turning trash into usable fuel, and I'm surprised at how easy and fun it can be. I learned a couple things while doing my research. I learned that it's my true desire to go into the chemical field and work in the field of green energy. I would not change anything about my research and how I executed it. In conclusion, the problems that America faces with the energy crisis and rising cost of living can effectively be solved if Americans put their might, mind, and money in the right places. This has been my speech on alternative energies and the utilization of them. I would like to thank you for your time. Thank you.
Oops.